Okay, so welcome to BJ and Geralda. I'm just going to call you G because I always reckon I say it wrong. And to Lainey for jumping on. I know that it's been a long weekend and people are still probably out, so I really value you ladies for jumping on. Thank you so much. And tonight's little piece about connection is just flowing on from Andrew and Angie Logan's piece last night from the other big collaborative team call that we jump on. So if you haven't had the chance yet, and actually I was going to say if you haven't had the chance to watch it, which I don't think you have because I haven't been able to post the Zoom, as soon as I get the copy of that, I really encourage you to watch it because there were some really brilliant pieces of information in there, and it goes for about 40 minutes. So without further ado, I'm just going to run through pieces of my takeaways, but pieces of information that I've really taken on board now since I listened to, and I won't say that I've read it because it's such a long book, since I've listened to How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. So have you read it, BJ or G, when Lainey comes back? Have you actually downloaded or read that book yet? Just hands up if you have. No, G hasn't. BJ, have you listened to it or read it? Okay. Lainey, have you listened as you go off and get your night dressing gown? That's so cute. Have you listened to or read How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie? No. Okay. So skill number 2 in network marketing is, I hope that you know, is talk to the people that you find. So it's really about the art of connection. And I would like to say, please don't go and talk to anybody until you have read or listened to that book. But it's such a long book. It takes about 7 or 8 hours by audio. So please get your pen and paper out, and this will go for all the people who are listening to the recording. It is such a strong tip of mine or recommendation that you really do get this book, read it or listen to it or do both, and actually adopt the principles, because it's an exceptional guide on how to actually build lasting relationships with people. Now, one of the things that I took away from last night, which I thought was absolutely amazing, was I think it was Andrew Logan actually said that he learned from Khan Troy or Khan Tori that if I can make 1 million friends, then I can make $1 million. And it is the relationships in this business which will actually make you money. And so please don't think that I'm weird or I'm going to be talking about friends and money, because in network marketing, in a binary compensation plan, the deeper and the bigger that you build relationships with your team, and the bigger and the greater you teach your teams to build relationships with their teams, will be the bigger depth of your family tree. Okay, do you understand that? Is that good? Does that make sense? So please, again, I strongly encourage the 3 of you and the people that are listening at home or watching the recording to please get How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Okay, so I'm going to go through his principles, okay? And so principle number 1 is to become genuinely interested in other people. And this basically means that you have to be very good at asking questions, and then you have to be very good at closing your mouth. Like you just have, this is why, it is said that we have 2 ears for listening and 1 mouth for speaking. And so we have to actually genuinely be interested in the other person. And when we show our genuine interest in the other person, that genuine interest, of course, by finding common ground and by building rapport, builds us what? Like, what is the key? Like, you can come through, you can unmute and you can talk, or you can type it in the chat. But when we're in a relationship build with someone, what are we actually looking to build with the person?
I think the main thing that I look for is like how the person makes me feel. Like I wonder if I vibe with them, if that makes sense. If I don't vibe with them, then I kind of feel really awkward. Like you just don't get that authentic connection that you want.
Yeah. And sometimes we won't get an authentic connection with people, and that's okay. because we need to remember that we're not for everybody and everybody's not for us. And you need to be okay with that. That's beautiful. And thank you. And it is, we'll get to that feeling in a second. But when I'm looking, if I'm looking to do business with somebody, what is the main thing that I have to have with that other person for me to process and progress and do business with somebody? Other than the feeling.
It has to be like a rapport. You have to have rapport with someone to be able to work with someone.
Of course. And another word, that the word I'm really looking for around rapport starts with the
relationship.
T. Starts with the T and ends with a T. Has an R-U-S in between. So it would be trust. Yeah, trust. Yeah.
Or patience.
Patience is true. Patience, exactly.
Which is what you need tonight.
Yeah, that's okay. No, that's okay. We'll get to the patient side of it as well. But, you know, really for us to go into any type of business dealing, or let's say buy-selling relationship, which is what we're doing here, and even when we're deeply trying to get to the base of somebody's emotional need for what we have, then we really have to have that connection. We have to have friendship, and we have to have connection, and we need to have rapport. And then, of course, we have to have trust. If you haven't built a trust relationship with the person whose pain you're trying to solve, then it's very likely that let's talk about sale, that the sale will actually go through in the end if you do not have a trust relationship. Does that make sense? Yeah, that's very true. And, you know, it's interesting that there's three kind of key things, and I don't even know whose podcast I heard it on. This was something I heard on, I think it was David Wood's podcast, one of the ones. Sometimes when I'm looking for inspiration, I get divinely guided. So I just put on his YouTube channel and I just flick my finger, and then whichever one it lands on is the one I feel like I'm supposed to listen to. And there was one, and it was about like some sales strategy. And there was like this lady had a quick 8-list checklist. And the first one was, do I like the person? The second one was, do they like me? And the third was, do they know that I have for them what they know they need? And I was like, oh, that's pretty simple. Like, you really can't move forward with somebody in a friendship, trust build relationship if you don't like the person and they don't like you. So it was very, very simple. Okay, that good? Okay. So we always have to be very interested in the other person. We have to get genuinely interested in who they are and what they're like. We have to get good at asking them questions that allow them to speak about their pain. So let's say if we're talking about isogenics in particular, we shouldn't be talking about isogenics in particular when we're going first up into a relationship build with someone. We shouldn't at all. We should be just using the form-based questions, family, occupation, recreation. What's the other one? Motivation. Okay. What's your ultimate goal in life? What drives you? What are you passionate about? And we really need to be talking from a friendship base first. And as hard as it is, especially for new people who are coming in, forming these conversations, we really have to have isogenics at the back of the mind, okay? We really have to kind of be building this friendship and rapport and trust for that person then to actually ask us, well, what do you do? So then we get to very naturally say, well, I'm partnered with a global health and wellness company which helps people with weight loss, which helps people build a secondary income, which helps people with natural energy, which helps mums stay home with their kids. Whichever is the thing that you're going to be talking to the person about at that time, okay? And you need to be able to form that, what do you do, very naturally. Again, I will encourage you to listen to Angie and Andrew's podcast when I get it up to you, because she has a beautiful way of saying what she does. And I can't quite remember it at the moment, but it's great for you to listen to. Okay? All good? Okay. So principle number 2 is probably one of my most favorite ones at the moment, which is smiling. And this is something that I've been playing with you guys with, right? So sometimes when you've been sending me messages, I'm either sending you voice messages back, or if I forget, and I'm typing, but I've been sending you video messages, right? And so that you can actually see my face and you can see my smile. So the smile is our very first point of body language in connection. It's the very first. So I encourage you, you know how I said I give you like this little 30-day challenge of doing no typing and just doing voice messages. The very first thing, if you're toing and froing with people, learn how to use the actual video message function, which I haven't really been able to work out on my phone, but I can do it from my laptop. And it allows me to do as long a video as I want. I think it goes for actually about 5 minutes. But I think when you're sending a video message from your phone, it only goes for, I don't know, 15 seconds. And so then you have to keep doing a lot. But you want to try to get your face in front of people, okay? So what happens? What happens when we sit here, when we're face to face? Like, come on and tell me. Like, how do you feel when we're actually face to face?
So when you feel the energy coming through, that's for sure.
Yeah. 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 So yeah, that's okay. And it is actually all about this energy. It's actually about, and it's almost like an energy transfer. And you know, the hugest thing about doing, you know, I love this because I get to use my hands, because you know I'm like a really expressive person and I get to use my hands a lot, and I even do that in video. But you cannot not put an energetic message out when you're doing it by video, because you get to see yourself as you're actually doing the video. And if like you don't want to see yourself in the shits or in the grumps or with this really low energy, you just can't do it. Like, it's just, you can't. But in text, you can be having the worst day ever and just be piping back, you know. And then sometimes messages in text can be misconstrued because you might have the wrong word in there, or you might have a capital, or you might have an exclamation mark. And so text is perceptive to the person reading it. Same with a video, but this is so energetic. Like, I would just really encourage you all to find a way to first, if you are building through social media, to pique the interest, and then as quickly as you can, get that person into a voice, face, smile exchange. Does that make sense? Can we all do that? Now, if you haven't worked out how to do, like, you can record a video, like G did it the other day. So you can record a video and send that video via Messenger. But I don't know how you did yours at 5 minutes, G, but normally you only have a 3-minute block of being able to do that. Otherwise, sit down and work out at your computer through Facebook Messenger how you actually just click on the little camera button and it says take video, and then you press it and it records you, and then you press stop video, and then you press send, all in one function. Okay.
The video I sent to you, that video that I sent to you, I literally had to post it on my niche page, and then I had to, you know how you get the share button? You share it, but you share it in a private message. That's how I managed to share it to you. Okay. Yeah, you can't actually, the 5 minutes or whatever, like you said, 3-minute cutoff, you can't otherwise send it via Messenger directly.
Yeah, okay. And I think the other, I'm just going to use Bea as an example, because she wanted me to watch the video first before she posted it. And I said, no, but I said yes, I was going to watch it, but I'm like, it doesn't matter what it looks like, because if you then if I give you my critique on it and then you go back and change it, it's not going to be as heartfelt as the very first time you did it, because the first time you did it without somebody critiquing it, it would have been wholly you and wholly authentic. So never ever, never kind of script a video, never script a reply. And that's really what I like about the actual Facebook Messenger video function, is that nothing's scripted. Like, I just sit there and just press go. I just kind of make sure my hair looks kind of okay. But that's, you know, if you can see my hair, but that's kind of it, okay? So please make sure that you have a way to actually be able to express your smile. And even when you move this forward, this is a very old phone sales technique, but when you move this forward and you are becoming, you know, let's say you want to take this as an outgoing call functionality or something like that, then make sure that you have a mirror somewhere near your telephone, and that what you're actually doing, or you're up on your phone and you're in front of your mirror. So you are actually being expressive with your body language, watching yourself talk in a mirror as if you're talking to the person that you're talking to on the phone. I remember when I used to work in the bank, we didn't have mirrors, but we had a sticker on the handset of our phone, and then it said smile first before you pick up the phone. So that was our thing. We had to always wear a smile before we picked up the phone. Okay. And I think, BJ, you would know, like in our scripting, in fitness, in the gyms, it said always make sure didn't it say remember to smile? Yeah. All right, cool. All right, so number 4 is using the person's name. Okay, so sorry, principle number 3 is actually using the person's name. So a person's name is not just a song. Calling a person by his or her name actually has a lot of pulling power. In a way, it creates an immediate connection between you and the person you're talking to. So same again, by using a person's name. A person's name is to them the sweetest sound. And this is why you'll hear all of the greatest people, if you're ever on, like, let's say I'll use David Wood and Lisa Nichols in particular. When I used to do their online training, every time somebody clocked into Zoom, they would say, welcome Billie Jean, welcome Geralda, welcome Lainey, it's so great to have you here. And it just made me feel, and they'd say, hey Lisa, nice to see you, nice to see that you're here. And it used to just make me feel so welcomed, that even in this raft of 200 people, that they were actually announcing everybody coming into their Zoom, and it just makes you feel really special. And it is a skill to learn people's names. Like, you know how you go, oh my God, Lainey, 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 and you have to like repeat it to yourself 100 times so you actually cement that person's name. But it is something that's very, very important, okay? Make sure that you do, even how to pronounce somebody's name properly. That's why I always call Geralda G, because I don't know whether I'm supposed to be saying Geralda or Geralda, so I just call her G. She's so nice. Right. And I just think that it actually shows that you are a great listener, and then to that other person, how important that they actually are to you, if you have remembered the sweetest sound to them, which is their name. Like, have you guys got experiences on that, on how when somebody's remembered your name and that has made you feel so important?
Well, I used to work in a call center, so what people call me, if you pronounce my right name differently than what it should be, it doesn't bother me, but I used to get called all kinds of things. So just the fact that you get my name right is a start.
Good. That's good. That's good.
You're right though, because I get Mary Jean when I ring up and I'll say, oh, it's Billie Jean. They'll go, oh, Mary Jean. Fuck no, I've said Billie Jean. So to get your name right, it is really important.
Yeah. And
I hear you all too.
Yeah, Lainey, that's right.
Liani, Lainey, yeah.
And then don't you think that when you go back to have, let's say, like a repeat buy or a repeat conversation with that person, and then they've remembered your name, that it's actually, it makes you feel so great, like, because you're like, oh man, they remembered my name from the first time. That's so great. And let's say like coffee shops are always the greatest at that. The best of coffee shops ever will actually go to the point of remembering their customers' names and remembering their customers' orders to make that person feel so vitally important in such a huge thing, which is coffee, which anybody can get anywhere. But I guarantee that person, if the barista remembers the person's name and the person's order, that person will continue to go back and be a repeat buyer. Yeah, it's so important. I'm just trying to remember when somebody's remembered my name, and it's just made me feel really good. I don't know. I like it when people use my name. I do not like it when people use my name too much. So isn't this really funny? So one time when I was doing one of my fitness degrees, we had an instructor that just used my name over, and I think it was his thing of like how he remembered people's names. He's like, so Lisa, yes, you get that, Lisa? So you remember that, Lisa? Yep, so you get it, Lisa? Yeah, that's right, Lisa. So tomorrow, Lisa, this. And I'm like, oh my God, mate, can you stop using my name, please? I get it. You remember my name, but please, can you just stop? It just drove me nuts. It just went from one extreme to the other. All right. So, and again, same thing. It's one thing I've been doing in my messaging out to people, whether it be by voice or by text or by video, is actually using their name. Again, we had such great success in sending out that challenge post that we did. And normally I would get actually very lazy in sending out like a copy and paste and just saying, hey mate, or hey lovely, or hey gorgeous, and just do that. But what I did was I just refused to be lazy and put the person's name in it. And really what I found was with when the person's name was in it, we had a much nicer reply from people. It was incredible. And I think we've got 2 to put through this week, but we had 6 people restart from our inactives, which is incredible. That's the most we've ever had of, let's say, like a restart reactivation program. Yep. All right. So the next one is about being a good listener and encouraging people to talk about themselves. So as the same as I said before, is that, we have been given 2 ears and 1 mouth. And so we need to make sure that we use them in the exact same proportion. So if you have a pen and paper handy right now, it would be great to write something down for me. You have a pen and paper? No. So BJ's got a notepad, so BJ can probably note these down, G, and she can put them in the chat, or she can put it into notes. Okay. So let's say it's the acronym of EARS. So the E is to explore by asking questions, and so we know that we would ask exploratory questions, or we would ask questions that are open-ended. We're forming relationship. We're not just talking about isogenics. So we know that we have the easiest conversation template. But if we know the template, it doesn't have to be scripted though. Okay. Normally you would just ask questions of, I guess generally some, of the way you are. And so if I'm mum, I would generally go to ask another woman, do you have children? And then that's a closed question because that's yes or no. But then, of course, if it actually is a yes, then you would ask, how old are your kids? How many do you have? What schools do they go to? What things are you involved in any sporting clubs? And so, you're asking these exploratory, open-ended questions to find common ground, to find rapport, to build the relationship, to build trust. And now, if any one of you have been to a David Wood event, who's been, like BJ, you've been to a University in Action. You've been to David Wood? Yep. G and Lainey, you haven't yet, have you? No. So David Wood explains that the common ground is the common ground is really the glue to the relationship and is the glue to the trust, right? So let's say, for instance, let's say, for instance, I ask a question and I say, I'm walking a dog, right? Let's say I'm walking my friend's dog, which I'm dog sitting at the moment, or just dog walking, I should say. And I walk to a park and there's somebody else and, they don't have a dog, but we start talking. They're not with their dog, but their dog's at home. And we start talking about dogs. And what you'll find is that the energy around that commonality will actually go up another level. So we're building our relationship and our common ground around the fact that we both like dogs. Does that make sense? And you will feel this in conversation when you become a master connector with people, which we all are because we're human, and at the heart of the human, we need to be connected. When you find that thing, this is what happens. Oh my God, me too. Oh my God, really? No way. Oh, seriously? Oh my God. Do you get that? You have to have had those moments with people, right? Like, yeah, when you think that you're the only one that likes cream cheese on celery, or you like peanut butter on celery, and then you get talking to someone and someone else likes peanut butter on celery, and you're like, oh my God, I thought I was the only crazy person that liked peanut butter on celery. I'm glad I found a friend. And you will find that your energy goes up. Generally with me, the pitch of my voice goes up, my speed goes up, the energy, the excitement, everything comes in around this thing that I found common ground with the person. And then you get that comment that was like, oh my God, I feel like I've known you forever. Yeah, have you had those moments with people? Yeah. And that's kind of, they're the points that you want to get to people. When we're talking to people, you want to get there. And guess what though, right? Sometimes you just won't have common ground with people, and that's okay. That's all good. Sometimes you just won't have anything in common. That's all good too, okay? Because remember that, you know, we're perfectly imperfect, and sometimes we're just not a gel for other human beings, and that's okay. All right, so be okay with that. We're like, bless and release, that's great. I've got a million conversations to have with other people. All right. The A is to affirm, to show that you're listening. So this is where we should always be responding back to the other person, the words or the verbiage or the information that they're actually telling us. Okay, does that make sense? So, like for instance, you know, I clearly had not been a great listener with Lainey. Actually, had even really actually asked Lainey the question how many children she had, because I swear to God she only had one. And then when I knew she was pregnant, then I figured that she was having two. And then lo and behold, they told me that they had like 3 kids and there was another on the way. And I was like, oh my God, you have 4 kids. Well, 3 and 1 in the oven. So you're actually going to have 4 kids. That's incredible. And then my comment is normally, I just stopped at 2. But before I seriously, I will never forget now that you've got 4 kids, because that's just was funny in itself. But, you know, like when somebody gives you a piece of information, it's always great to actually relay it back to themselves. And let's say, for instance, we are moving forward into providing a solution for somebody around their health, and you know, it is that they're, you know, that they're feeling. I'm going to use some words, my verbiage. So let's say, for instance, they are feeling, you know, fat and sick and tired of themselves. If the words out of that person's mouth have been fat and sick and tired, they are giving you permission to use that language back. Okay, this is something that we learned very early in our fitness scripting and our fitness sales, BJ, that whatever language somebody is delivering out of their mouth to me, they are giving me that permission to use that language back to them. And I would probably say to someone, thank you so much for sharing that with me. I can feel it. I understand that you're feeling fat and sick and tired. You know what? Before I started Isogenics, I was actually the same. And then I'd roll into my 30-second story. Okay? But again, please remember that whatever somebody is actually sharing out of their mouth towards night G. Thank you very much for jumping on. Night. So whatever words somebody is delivering to you, then it is okay for you to deliver it back to them. Of course, in compassion, in understanding. You know, you would never not accept the way that somebody is feeling about themselves, even if it is somebody that you may see that may be very slim and tight and taut. It is not your it's not your place to say, oh, come on, like, no, you look fine. No, because that person in themselves, in their body, is feeling what they're feeling. It's your job to listen and to compassionately understand, and then to your degree of empathy, empathize with them. Okay, is that good? All right. And so we have to make sure that we affirm. Okay, and then we roll into R, so reflect your understanding. So we've got explore, asking questions, and then we've got A, affirm, by showing that you're listening. and R is reflecting your understanding. So this is, of course, where we are, compassionately showing that we understand. And I think that the best way to show understanding in the context of what we're doing, of course, providing a solution, is actually share stories. Okay. And that may be your story, or it may be somebody else's. All right. And then S, so which is silence. So silence is to listen more. And can't remember again, there was another podcast I was listening to. And so a very simple question that we can ask people once they've delivered us some information is we can simply ask them, so tell me more. And then they answer, and then you say, so tell me more. All right. And it will be, especially for me, it's a very hard lesson and a very hard skill to just learn, like bring into habit, to actually be quiet, to not jump into being a solution provider, and actually to allow the person to speak and be affirmed and be understood, and then speak and be affirmed and be understood, and then speak, affirmed, understood, probably a few times before we jump into actually being the solution provider. And this, Lainey, is where the patience comes in. This is what you said before, being patient. Building a rock solid relationship with people will require patience, real patience. Because if you are trying to flip through very quickly through a conversation to get to the sale, the person will feel sold to. Yeah. And we want them, of course, there is a sale happening here. That there is a sale and there will be a transaction at the end of this. But what you want the person to feel is you want them to feel trust. You want them to feel heard. You want them to feel, heard and understood, and that you want them to feel supported. Okay? You don't want to rush through a conversation with somebody for then at the end of the day for that person to simply feel like they have been sold to. Okay? And if you go into conversations and you're rushing them to rush the sale, to earn the product introductory bonus, or to earn a double PIB, or to be pushing a rank advancement, or to do whatever, the person will feel that energy. I always say that that energy stinks like BO. Okay? And you know what? So the best thing that you can actually do with that person is actually, if you're running in a competition or you're running for a rank advancement, then you kind of want to be upfront. I think you should just honor the conversation and be upfront. Do you know what? Right now, the company's got an amazing promotion, and they're going to save you $25, or they're going to do this, or they're going to do that. But you have to cross the line by 2 p.m. Monday for that to happen. So I hope you don't feel rushed in this conversation. I just want you to get the best out of it. If you're trying to rush something because we're ending a promotion or we're ending something, then I do think that you should actually be upfront. Okay? So the person understands where this crazy pressure is coming from. Okay? Because do we like to be sold to, or do we like for us to feel as if we're the person that's actually coming to our own solution?
Coming to our own solution.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And know again that this is a buying selling dance. It is a dance, but the people buy emotionally, and so we have to be patient to get to the bottom end of the emotional reason, their emotional pain, as to what we're stepping in for solution. And that doesn't happen quickly unless you've got somebody who's been through a lot of like pre-contemplation, you know, change processing, very quick, very like they've done a lot of that work before they've gotten to you straight up as a solution provider. They've pretty much made their decision, and you're just doing the end work because they've already decided. Okay, does that make sense? Hello to two of you now. All right, so try as best as you can, or do as best as you can, to make sure that we are being patient in these conversations. And I think that the more honest and open and authentic and patient you are with your relationships, the easier it will be to come back into follow-up, and the longer you will stay in relationship with the person, and the more likelihood you will have of that person eventually joining your business. May not be now, but if you stay in mutual respectful relationship with the person, then when there is a need, and a hard need for them to make the change in their life, guess who is going to be the person that is top of mind? And this goes for all people you already perhaps even have in your business center, going back and staying in relationship with them, going back and staying in relationship with your people who are product sharers, of course, staying in relationship with people who are your business builders, and going back and staying in relationship with people who have fallen off the business, and staying in relationship with people who are your prospects. Every single person has a part to play in your business, and your job is to make sure you stay in healthy, respectful, patient relationship with all of them. Make sense? Cool. All right. So did you get that down, BJ? So E was for explore by asking questions. A was to affirm, to show you're listening. R was reflect your understanding. And S was silence, to listen some more. Okay. Now the next point is to talk in terms of the other person's interest. So we've kind of touched on this all the way along through this, but that is basically going into the easiest conversation template. So same thing again. If you do not know where that is, you can shoot me a message, or you can shoot your sponsor or your mentor a message and ask them where you can find that template. But the F stands for family, the O starts for occupation, the R stands for recreation, and the M starts with motivation. I actually like to sometimes start, especially if I'm piquing interest with somebody online, I actually always like to start with the M question first, and I ask them, what is your goal? What is your ultimate goal in life, and what are you passionate about? Because that really sets up a frame, like let's say like a pre-screening. It's a screening question. That's a good one to ask. Okay. So if you don't know where that is, you can Google it. You can Google easiest conversation template isogenics and it'll come up. Or otherwise, you can ask me and I'll shoot you that. But that is simply it. You are to encourage people to speak about themselves and then be quiet. And then encourage them to speak about themselves again and be quiet. Good? Okay. So the next one is to make the other person feel important and do so sincerely. And, Dee touched on this before. She's like, it's always the feeling, like it's the vibe. And one of my very, very favorite quotes is that people will forget what you said, they will forget what you did, but people will never forget the way that you make them feel. I mean, hand on your heart if you know that. Like, right. So you will always remember the feeling that you get from somebody, the feeling that you get from them when you're around them, the feeling that you get from them when you're interacting with them. It doesn't matter, what they said or did or, physical or otherwise, but you'll just gel with their vibe. And this is what you will get if you build a deep, mutual, respectful, trustful relationship with people. They will come back to you because they love your energy. They just want to be around you. They find you inspiring. They like to listen to your messages, or they like to watch your videos or whatever. They will come back to you because there's something in you that makes them feel special. Okay. And I think the most amazing thing that we do in relationships is we make people feel heard. Like we make people feel valuable. We make people feel worthy. you know, and we make people feel connected. I think that is the biggest thing that we do, and I think that I hope that that's what you understand that we do too. And it's the biggest thing in Isogenics, which is undersold, right? The peer support and the love and the patience and the coaching and the friendship and the relationships that we have in Isogenics is the biggest undersold benefit. Okay, so you got to sell that shit more. Like, seriously, it's like, I will remember, you know, I'm going to do Isogenics for, of course, all of my life, but I will always remember how I felt when I walked into my very first event in Melbourne, when I was surrounded by all of this positivity and all of this energy. And my very first thought in my mind was, where have all these happy people been all of my life? Like, I will swear to God, I'll remember it. And, you know, this is what we do. You know, we allow people to come in and we allow them to feel special in their own space. And I mean, and same thing again, David Wood says, what other place can you go where, you know, you can walk up on stage and you've lost like 400 pounds, like Kenya, like my friend Kenya, that 400 pounds is 199 kilograms. Can you get that through your tiny minds? Like, this woman has lost 199 kilograms. She was like literally dying. The person that invited her to start Isogenics was sent to her by her church group to help that woman plan her funeral. Now, what other company or what other group can you be involved in where somebody gets up on stage that's lost 199 kilograms and gets freaking celebrated? Like, you know, like, what other company can you get up on stage and you are a mum and dad from a small town, pregnant with your fourth freaking baby, and you can get celebrated for all of your freaking success, you know? Or BJ, you know, you've got these amazing, crazy dreams, and you get up on stage because you never fucking gave up, and, you know, you get celebrated. And I'm like, where else does that happen in life? It doesn't happen anywhere, right? This is it. This is the real thing. This is the feeling that we get being involved in this, and you will never fail, you will never not win, and you will never not reach the pinnacle of your success if you don't stop. Like, if you just keep talking, if you just keep building relationships, if you know, find your million friends, if you build your million friendships, you will build your $1 million. I guarantee it. And it should be a goal of yours. Like, all I do now is I just find people to make friends. I'm just like, oh, you're my friend. You look like you've got good energy. You know, I'm in lots of groups and I like to bring people across. And, you know, I posted on something, I think ANZ, you know, Isogenics ANZ. I'm like, oh my God, I made 20 new Facebook friends already this month. And it's like the 12th. I mean, how incredible. I'm trying to cull my Facebook list, but now I'm building it back up again, because for me, I'm very good at building and piquing interest and building relationships through Facebook and then taking them offline. And, you know, I could make people friends everywhere, but this is the way I'm doing it. And my goal is actually to add 4 brand new people to my Facebook every day and to actually build a relationship through there. And that, so when they need something from me, I'm just there, waiting in the wings. So that's it. So they are the principles. So I'm going to go through them again. And please, 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 I strongly and wholeheartedly and highly recommend that you do listen to the audiobook. If you're driving a lot, then you have lots of time to listen to it. I think it's 7 or 8 hours. I can't remember. But again, principle number 1 is becoming genuinely interested in other people. Number 2 is to smile, because this is the simple way to create a good first impression. Number 3 is to remember the person's name, remember the person's name, because to that person, their name is the sweetest and most important sound in any language. Number 4 is to be a good listener, to encourage people to always talk about themselves, to become interested, and rather than interesting, and to engage in the conversation by directing questions that the other person would like to answer. to talk in terms of the other person's interest. So it's always talking about the other person, because remember that people like to talk about themselves. And number 6 is to make the other person feel important, and to do so sincerely. Make them feel appreciated for either their accomplishments or they're interested, or just for being a freaking nice human being. That's it. I'm going to stop recording. So thank you very much for listening to that. Now we can just have a chit chat.